Hi, I'm Sharon Hales. I have another fabulous Foothills find for you today. I am standing here with Chris Waldheim, who is a resident and business owner in La Crescenta. He owns Jay's Maintenance and Jay's Maids. And not only is he a well-renowned business owner, but he is also a trail expert. And so, Chris, go ahead and tell us your affiliation with the trails in the Foothills communities.
My affiliation with the trails really is just primarily that of someone who really appreciates them and someone who loves the outdoors. I've also joined the Glendale Trail Safety Patrol in the past year to help give back a little bit and keep myself going outdoors on foot and on bike.
So Chris had some excellent suggestions for our next Foothills find, and I said, well, if you had one to pick, what would you pick? And he said, well, we've got to do the Mount Lowe Railroad. So tell us, Chris, where we are and why you picked the Mount Lowe Railroad.
So we are standing up above beautiful Pasadena here. You can look down on Lake Avenue, and the reason I picked Echo Mountain House and the Mount Lowe Railway is primarily because it's so close to our hometown and it is so historic. There is 120 years of history up here, and we're standing right along the trestles that made up part of the Mount Lowe Railway when it left Echo Mountain. And the other thing I love about being up here is that we are all alone. There are three of us and a couple million people down there, and that's one of my favorite reasons to be out here in the outdoors.
And it is really, really beautiful. We are going to head over to what used to be the Mount Lowe Railway, and Chris is going to tell us some deep, dark secrets that you might not have known about. Chris and I are standing in Echo Mountain, and the hike has been totally worth it. We accessed it via Cheney Trail in Altadena, and we caught the trailhead at Sunset Ridge. But you can also catch the trail up here at the top of Lake in Pasadena. And Chris is going to tell us how people in the 1800s got up here.
So in the 1800s, actually this was built in 1894, and back in 1894 they would ride the Pacific electric cars all the way from downtown LA, and they could take that right into Pasadena. They'd hop on another little train that took them up here straight up Lake Avenue, and they would end up here down at Rubio Canyon. And then once they got to Rubio Canyon, they hopped on a funicular, which came straight up here, the incline railway, and these stairs right behind us are where the passengers would offload. Then they'd walk 15 feet up here and they'd hop on the next train, which took them on the Mount Lowe Railway and took them up to the Mount Lowe Tavern, where they could have lunch and a beer and enjoy this fabulous view that we're enjoying today.
So the tavern is above us, but what was here, Chris? Why would people take the funicular up here, and why would people even want to come see it now?
So the ruins which are standing here really, I don't think do justice to what was here. Back in the day, in the heyday, there was a 4-story, 70-room hotel that was, it was a structure that could be seen for 100 miles, they said. It was painted bright white. It was filled with lights that made it look like a floating island at night. So people in its heyday, they were coming up here to both stay. They'd also come up here for a meal and, have a beer and enjoy the view.
And the hotel had a casino as well as tennis courts. We don't know where those tennis courts were, but they were up here somewhere.
And they also had a swimming pool, and they had a bowling alley, believe it or not, up here.
Okay, so what happened to the hotel?
So in 1900, there were 50 guests staying here, and there was a fire in the flue of the kitchen. So probably a grease fire, if I had to guess. And it caught flames, and everything was built out of wood back then, and the structure, the 50 guests tried to put the fire out, failed to do so, and in a matter of hours it burned to the ground.
So the hotel was gone, but the railway stayed here until 1938, is that
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it was. So the person who built this was Professor Thaddeus Lowe, and he and an engineer designed this, got the financing going for it, built it, and then once the hotel burned down, it wasn't feasible for them to continue, so I think they actually sold it off at that point, and there was another entity that ran it, and I think it actually got sold again before it finally closed down in 38.
Well, there are some very cool remnants and artifacts up here that you would have thought would have been carted away, but they are still here. There's a huge gear mechanism, and I think we got a shot of it, where the funicular would come up to the top and then turn around. And would they catch another cart on the way down? There was one to balance each
It would actually it was one going up and one coming down, and then right in the middle they would cross out and then go back up.
And right at the top here, the gears is where they would then turn around and come down?
Nope, the same car would just go back down. So once
Oh,
it
I
got
see.
to the top,
Got it.
it just
Got
comes
it.
right back down.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to definitely want to bring your family up here. Let's talk about difficulty and how long it takes to get up here, Chris.
Okay. So if you go from the top of Lake, it's about 2.5 miles. It's probably 1,500 feet of elevation gain. And I think we're at 3,200 feet or so right now. We're at 3,500 feet right now. I would say if you're going to take small kids, you definitely want to make sure they're ready for this hike. Those 2.5 miles are pretty tough, especially if the sun's on you in the afternoon. It's a good morning hike. You get a lot of shade in the morning.
Bring a picnic.
Bring a picnic. You know, you always want to take the 10 essentials, which is why I have this huge pack on. You want to have your water, you want to have a map, have some snacks, have some extra layers. And if you're carrying food and gear for your kids, make sure you got everything they need to. You also want to have a hat and sunscreen and sunglasses and the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so they can pick up the trailhead at Sunset Ridge or at the top of Lake, either one, right?
Top of Lake is a little bit easier for parking. Sunset Ridge is almost all asphalt until we got to the trestles where we were speaking earlier.
Okay. If you'd like more information on hiking up at Mount Lowe, visit mountlowe.org. That's MOUNTLOWE.org. And if you're smart, you'll bring somebody along with you to carry your food and water. Chris carried my water for me. He was more prepared than I. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us.
Thank you.
Chris is a pillar in our community. He's a philanthropist and a great citizen. We're really glad that you could join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to visit me, you can reach me at SharonHales.com. Have a great day, and I'll see you at our next Foothills Finds.